Hello.
Hi there, how are you?
I am so good. How are you today?
I'm pretty good. It's a release day. It's always happy when a book comes out.
Oh, I can imagine. Oh my gosh, I love it. I so let's get started. You're a conflict negotiator. Is this true? I was just reading this and it kind of like blew me away. That's amazing.
That was my old career. Yeah. So I spent about 15 years in Washington, D.C., working for some of the best organizations that help rebuild war zones and conflict affected communities. So, yeah, that was my job before I became a published author.
Oh my, like what? What? Who says that? How do you meet somebody like that? Oh my gosh, this is like amazing to me. I love it. You've done a lot of things. How did you make the switch to author, or have you been writing all along and then just finally put it together?
Yeah, well, I was the little girl from the Midwest, from a small town in which nobody ever thought you could become a writer. So I just wrote stories in my notebook and for fun, like my whole life. And then when I go to war zones, because there'd be curfews outside, tanks on the street, fighting, bombs. There was nothing you could do at night, and so I basically would plug in a bunch of my laptop batteries, one after another, and I would write stories. And so on one night, I would say it's kind of an infamous night in Sierra Leone. I was the only person in this hotel, one hotel, in the entire town. And it was like a scene out of Blood Diamonds with Leonardo DiCaprio. There were military men out in a Jeep outside with machine guns shooting in the air, with fire in the garbage cans, playing rap music. And they had already broken into my room. And I thought, they're trying to decide if they're going to gang rape me, cut me into bits tonight, or kidnap me. And I was like, writing a novel. And I was like, I need to write myself a better life. And so I vowed that night to finish my first book. And that was the book that I ended up deciding, like, it was good. It ended up getting traction. Like I created a plan. And so I launched myself and left my old career behind at the height of my career. And I'm so happy that I did.
I know it must be a relief. I mean, it's a whole different lifestyle, and no one's coming after you as an author. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really nice thing. Also, all my friends are losing their jobs currently because foreign aid is being cut. And so I am like, I was a legend when I left before, but I'm even more of a legend now. I was just with some friends, and he's got two kids and a mortgage, and he's like, I don't know what we're gonna do. He's like, there are no other jobs to go to, and I was like, oh, honey, I was like,
Yeah.
God. He's like, you were so smart to get out because he's like, look where you are, and you're so happy. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it must be peaceful now. I love this. So the hockey experiment, the hockey theme in rom-com books are like very big right now. That's all over book talk. So you've definitely touched on something in this book.
Yeah, I thought it'd be fun to do something really wacky and crazy. I mean, like, it's everyone keeps saying that who's read it before today, like early influencers and such. It's like, and like nobody's done anything with this premise. I mean, like, if you even look at the cover, it's nuts. It's like screwball comedy at the height. But yeah, I thought it'd be fun to have an anthropologist who's coming back from a war zone like thing in Congo, who's asked by her dad, who owns this hockey team. And he's like, he wants to have her study our hockey players' modern caveman because they want to motivate the team to win the Stanley Cup. Because, unlike our cartoony ideas of cavemen, she's like, they survived the ice age. They took down woolly mammoths. Like, if you can do that, you can like win the Stanley Cup.
Right?
Right. So anyway, so it's so funny. And of course, hockey just writes itself for this. I mean, like, the fact that they called the end of their hockey stick a shaft. I mean, like the jokes just like were hysterical. I mean, one after another. I had a great time with it.
I love this. So are you working on another project already, or are you just gonna soak in this one first?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm writing usually 3 to 4 books a year. So I'm plotting the next one. I'm about ready to start. And then I'm plotting a new series that's going to be out sometime late in 2025. So I'm always, kind of like rolling. That's my brain. It's fun. It's a lot of probably headspace up here for most people. I'm the Mary Poppins bag, where you go in, pulling out these, oh, there's a lampshade in there. Oh, there's like a Cuisinart or something, right? That's
Right.
my
So going back to being a conflict negotiator, you must have worked with a lot of men who were, how do I say it nicely? Well, they had big egos. I'm not going to say it nicely. So what was that like as a woman to work in that kind of environment? And how did you keep yourself motivated every day?
Well, I think, for me, some people who are alphas are, I'm sorry, can I say, I'll say jerks. And some are actually like really great guys. And so, I remember going to a peacekeeping venue, and I was the only woman, and I was the only person other than this one guy who was working in basically humanitarian war rebuilding stuff. So I was surrounded by these, military guys. I mean, like ones that had actually like five-star generals, okay, like
Mhm.
serious top brass stuff down to like regular special forces guys. And so it was, it's always interesting, like they commented on the fact that when they were listening to my presentation, like all of them talked about like my high-heeled boots. And I was like, oh, okay, like really, I hadn't even thought about like them focusing on something like that. But I outran a lot of them because I was living in the mountains at the time. And I really earned their respect because I'm suddenly like next to these guys who are in like, the British Special Forces and like SEALs. And I beat them when we were running. So
Nice.
sometimes, and also I can drink vodka like it's water. And so when I worked in the world, that scene in Indiana Jones, in the beginning where she outdrinks like the
Oh
really
yeah.
scary guy, that was me. And so I think, you have to find ways to speak their language and to sort of show that you can stand and stuff. I also remember having an oil man from Houston. I was in Azerbaijan in the early days when the oil companies were coming in, and it was so weird to go into his office, and he was like, "Well, it's a sweet little thing like you doing in a horrible place like this." And I had researched, I mean, I could talk about, offshore drilling like nobody's business and like how it was impacting communities. And he suddenly like took note of me, right? I used to bring like a man though. You'll love that. I used to bring an older senior man who had gray hair who was with me. Sometimes they thought I was a secretary when we sat down, and then by the end they realized I was actually the one that they needed to go and like deal with. So you always find ways to deal with stuff. And I learned how to play the game that I needed to at times because you want to get the information you need. So I think it's a lot of cultural cues. I mean, I worked in the Middle East exclusively for a long time as well. So trying to figure out what's appropriate there. It's like you take cues from people that live there, who've worked
Mhm.
there, and you do your best and you show good intention, and I think that makes a huge difference.
You're fascinating. I want to talk to you more for sure. Where can people go for more information on your book?
You can go to my website, www.avamiles.com. You can go on Instagram and find me on Ava Miles, and then Facebook, I'm Author Ava Miles. And of course, go to Amazon. My 60 plus books are there. Go to Barnes and Noble, like, anywhere sort of books are sold, you'll be able to find me.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much. It was a joy. I hope you have a beautiful day.
Thank you.